You met her 4 months ago, maybe in Bangkok, maybe Chiang Mai, maybe online through a Thai friend who vouched for her. Things moved fast, faster than anything you experienced back home. By month 2, she was calling you every morning. By month 3, she was talking about the future. And somewhere in the last few weeks, the conversation has quietly, gently, almost imperceptibly shifted toward one topic: what it would take for her to come and live with you. She has not said anything crude. She has not shown you a price list. She has simply let you see how much she loves being with you, how exhausting it is to be apart, how her visa options in Thailand are limited, and how she wishes things were different. And now you are here, watching a video with the word trap in the title, because some part of you, the part that still functions, is asking a question you are not sure you want answered. I am John. I have lived in Thailand for 22 years and watched the same situations play out hundreds of times. By the time this video ends, you will understand how the visa marriage structure works from the inside, the timeline, the mechanics, the exit points, and what a man who knows what he is doing looks like at every stage of it. Before we continue, please subscribe to my channel so you do not miss any future videos. Let's start at the beginning. The first thing to understand is that what I am describing is not a con in the traditional sense. A traditional con requires a victim who is being deliberately deceived by someone acting entirely in bad faith. What you are more likely dealing with is something considerably more complicated. A situation where the woman's feelings may be genuine, her economic needs are absolutely real, her family's pressure is constant, and the visa marriage is the most efficient solution available to her. Whether or not it is a solution to your actual problem is the question nobody asks until it is too late. Thailand does not have a pathway to permanent residency that is easy for women from working or lower middle-class backgrounds. If a Thai woman wants to leave Thailand and build a life abroad, her realistic options are a skilled worker visa, which requires education and professional qualifications most of these women do not have, or a family-based visa, which in most Western countries means marriage or a long-term partnership with a citizen. Marriage is not just romantically desirable to her. In many cases, it is the only legal door available. Now layer on top of that the concept of bun kun, the sacred, non-negotiable debt a Thai child owes her parents for raising her. This is not a metaphor. This is an operating system. A daughter from a rural province who makes it to Bangkok and finds a foreign husband has not just solved her own problem. She has potentially solved her family's problem for a generation. The remittances home, the improved status in the village, the ability to support aging parents who have no pension. These are not side benefits. They are the point. They are what the marriage means to the people around her, even if they are never mentioned to you directly. This matters because when you ask yourself, does she actually love me, or is this about the visa? You are asking a question with a false binary at its center. She may love you and need the visa. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. But the visa pressure will shape her behavior in ways that can look identical to genuine love, and that is the structural problem you need to understand. The 12-month timeline is not arbitrary. It is the product of experience. Specifically, the experience of women who have watched friends and older sisters navigate this process, and the experience of men who have been through it before. In most Western countries with significant Thai immigrant populations, the United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, the spousal visa process has certain features that create a natural 12-month window. The initial application takes time. The interview process takes time. And crucially, in the UC, for example, a conditional green card based on marriage of less than 2 years means she is tied to the marriage for a minimum period before she can petition to remove conditions. She knows this. Her friends know this. And so the 12 months you are experiencing together are often not the organic development of a relationship. They are a structured campaign, whether she consciously thinks of it that way or not. Here is what that campaign typically looks like from the inside. The first 3 months are pure warmth, attentiveness, affection, responsiveness, a level of emotional availability that most Western men have not experienced in their home country relationships. She learns your preferences, your schedule, your complaints about your previous relationships. She mirrors them back. She cooks for you or arranges things for you or shows up in ways that feel effortless to her and extraordinary to you. You start thinking about how different this is from what you left behind. Month 3 to month 6 is when the family becomes visible, not dramatically. There is no sudden demand for money, No crisis introduced without context. Instead, you begin to hear about her mother's health, her younger siblings' school fees, a small debt her father is carrying from a failed business. These are introduced as observations, not requests. She is not asking you for anything. She is simply letting you see her life. And because you are generous, because you have done well and you want to help, you offer. That offer is noted carefully. Month 6 is often when the first significant money event occurs. A trip to her home province that she mentions casually. A family event she would normally go to alone that she now suggests you might want to attend. Or simply a conversation in which she mentions a cost that is beyond what she can cover on her salary. The amounts at this stage are usually manageable. A few $100s, sometimes $1,000. Enough to establish the pattern, not enough to alarm. Between month 6 and month 9, the relationship becomes more serious in ways that are visible and documentable. Photos together. Meet the friends. A social media presence that establishes the relationship publicly. This is not accidental. The visa application will require evidence, photographs, chat history, proof of cohabitation, or regular contact. She is building the file, not syntically, necessarily, but the behavior that builds the file is the same behavior that builds genuine intimacy. And that overlap is exactly what makes this so difficult to evaluate from the inside. Month 9 to month 12 is the pivot. The conversation about the future becomes unavoidable. The phrase, "I don't know how long we can keep doing this," enters the picture. She has obligations in Thailand. You have your life abroad. Something has to give. And the solution is presented not as her desire, but as the only logical answer to a problem you both share. Marriage, or something that functions like it for visa purposes, becomes the path forward. I want to know honestly, how many of you are somewhere in this timeline right now? Leave it in the comments. I read all of them. Now, here is where men make the most consequential mistakes, and I want to be precise about what those mistakes actually are, because they are not what you might expect. The first mistake is not falling for the relationship. Falling for the relationship is human. The woman is often genuinely warm, the attention is real in the moment, and your loneliness, or your dissatisfaction with your options at home, is a legitimate condition, not a character flaw. The mistake is not that you fell. The mistake is that you never separated your emotional experience from your legal and financial exposure. There is a man I advised a few years ago, a contractor from the Pacific Northwest, solid guy, mid-50s, had been through a difficult divorce in the U.S. and came to Chiang Mai for a few months of distance. He met a woman in her mid-30s, a school teacher, genuinely educated, not a bar context at all. By month 8, they were engaged. By month 14, she had a spousal visa. By month 22, she had her conditional green card and had moved to a city 3 hours from him to live near a Thai community she had discovered online. By month 25, she had removed conditions independently, which U.S. immigration allows under certain circumstances, and the marriage ended shortly after. He was not dealing with a scammer in any simple sense. The woman was not evil. She had a plan, and he had warmth and a passport, and those two things found each other. He had never thought to ask whether the plan and the warmth would remain connected once the plan was complete. The second mistake is the evidence problem. Most men in this situation operate on emotional evidence, how she makes them feel, the quality of the connection, her behavior in their presence. What they do not do is gather behavioral evidence across contexts they cannot see. How does she treat other people when you are not around? What is her relationship with money in contexts that do not involve you? What is her actual relationship history? And I mean actually verified, not simply reported. A woman can be completely genuine in her affection toward you and still have a pragmatic strategy operating alongside that affection. The emotional evidence and the strategic evidence are not contradictory. They coexist. You are only seeing one of them. The third mistake is the timeline compression. Western men who are serious about a relationship, men who are not playing games, who have honest intentions, often interpret the fast pace of a Thai courtship as evidence of genuine feeling. If she wants to move this quickly, she must really want me. But the 12-month window I described earlier creates structural pressure to accelerate. She does not have 3 years. She needs certain things in place within a defined window because the visa calendar is not flexible. You experience her urgency as passion. It may be passion. It may also be logistics. You need to be capable of evaluating which one you are dealing with, and that requires slowing down regardless of how it feels. The fourth mistake is geographic. The moment she is in your country, On your visa, the power dynamics invert in ways most men do not anticipate. In Thailand, you had advantages: financial, social, logistical. You knew the expat networks. You understood how things worked. You could leave if you needed to. Once she is in your home country, she has none of that. She is dependent. And dependency, genuine, total, sometimes frightening dependency in a country whose language she may barely speak, creates conditions that can look like devotion but function as containment. She needs to stay close to you. She needs to manage your moods. She needs the marriage to remain intact until she no longer legally needs it to. That is not love. That is survival. And survival behavior in a dependent person can look almost identical to love from the outside. The fifth mistake is the family math problem. Once she is abroad and the visa is secured, the family back in Thailand does not go away. The Bun Kun obligation does not diminish when she crosses a border. In some cases it intensifies, because now she is the family's single greatest asset. A daughter abroad with a Western husband who earns in dollars or pounds. The remittances begin. They are often small at first, then they are regular, then they are expected, then they are non-negotiable. And because she cannot explain to her mother why her husband, this wealthy foreigner, cannot manage to send 15 VU baht a month to help with household expenses back home, she manages this quietly, sometimes by supplementing what you know about with money you do not know about. You are not funding a marriage at this point. You are funding a family you have never met, whose needs have no ceiling. I have seen men in their 60s discover that their Thai wives had been sending money home for years, through accounts they did not know existed. The amounts were not catastrophic individually, maybe 10,000 to 20,000 baht a month, roughly $300 to $600. Over 5 years, that is between $18, 0 and $36,000. Not a fortune by Western standards. Not nothing either. And the secrecy is what corrodes the marriage more than the money. Now, because I want this to be useful and not just diagnostic, let me tell you what a man who understands this looks like at every stage. At month 3, when the family stories start appearing, he listens with genuine empathy and genuine neutrality. He does not reach for his wallet on instinct. He says things like, "That sounds really hard. What are her options?" He is curious without being a solution. He lets her carry her own problems until there is a specific ask with a specific context. He also begins, quietly, without announcement, tracking the pattern. What gets mentioned? How often? Whether the mention is followed by a resolution that does not involve him, or whether every mention leads eventually to a financial ask. At month 6, when the first significant money event occurs, he evaluates it on its own terms. Is this a one-time situation with a clear endpoint? Or is it the first installment of an open-ended arrangement? He does not refuse automatically. That would be both unkind and revealing of his own suspicion in ways that damage the relationship unnecessarily. He does not write a check automatically either. He asks questions. He takes time. He gives based on what the situation actually is, not based on how much he wants to be the man who helps her. At month 9, when the future conversation arrives, he does not allow urgency to make the decision. He knows the 12-month window exists. He knows she is feeling it. He refuses to let that pressure substitute for his own clarity about what he is doing and why. He tells her he wants to move forward, and he means it. And he also tells her he needs more time and more information. A woman who genuinely loves you, as opposed to a woman who needs your passport, can wait 6 more months. A woman whose timeline depends on a visa calendar cannot. Before any marriage or visa-related commitment, he has a direct, adult conversation about money, not accusatory, not suspicious in tone, direct. I want to understand how we are going to handle finances. I want to understand what your family expects and what your expectations are. I want to be honest with you about what I am comfortable with and what I am not. That conversation is a filter. The reaction to it tells you more than 6 months of courtship. He also, at some point before the visa application is filed, consults an immigration attorney in his home country. Not to be cynical, to be informed. He understands what the conditional green card period means, what her rights are during that period, what documentation will be required, and what the process looks like if the marriage ends at month 25. He is not planning for failure. He is simply not surprised by what the system actually is. And perhaps most importantly, he maintains his own life, his friendships, his routines, his financial independence, his professional identity. The men who get most damaged in these situations are the men who reorganize their entire Existence around the relationship before the relationship had been tested by time, distance, conflict, or money. When the relationship is the only thing in a man's life, he will do almost anything to protect it, including ignoring every signal that it has. Become something other than what he thought it was. The truth at the center of all of this is not that Thai women are manipulative and Western men are naive. The truth is more structural than that and more sympathetic to everyone involved. Thailand has deep inequality. Rural families have almost nothing and depend on their children in ways that would be unrecognizable to most Western men. Women who want a better life and want to give their families a better life are working with a limited set of tools, and a foreign marriage is often the most powerful tool available. That is not evil. That is economics, and Western men who come here, lonely, or adventurous, or both, are meeting genuine warmth, genuine connection, and a level of attention they have been starving for. That attention may have structural reasons behind it. It may also be real, and often it is both things simultaneously. The problem is not falling in love. The problem is falling in love and then failing to do the work of understanding the system you have entered. This is not a dating market. This is an immigration system, an economic system, and a family obligation system, all wearing the clothes of romance. The man who understands that is not cynical. He is not cold. He simply knows what game is being played, which means he can play it as himself, clearly, honestly, with his eyes open, rather than waking up at month 25 wondering how he got here. What changes when you understand this is not your warmth. It is your timing. You stop letting the 12-month calendar make your decisions. You stop confusing her urgency with confirmation of her feelings. You start asking the adult questions earlier, not because you suspect her, but because you respect her enough to have a real conversation instead of an implied one. And you reserve the legal and financial commitments for the point in the relationship where you actually know, through demonstrated behavior across time and context, that the person you are committing to is the person you think she is. That shift, from reactive to deliberate, from optimistic to informed, is the difference between the men I have watched lose years in significant amounts of money and the men I have watched build something real here. There is nothing wrong with wanting a life in Thailand or wanting to bring someone back from Thailand. The country is extraordinary. Many of the women here are extraordinary. But the system that surrounds the romance is not romantic, and pretending it is not there does not make you more loving. It makes you more expensive. Creating these videos takes real time alongside my consulting work, so if this was useful, please support the channel by subscribing. It tells the algorithm to show this to other men who need it. See you in the next video.